Okay, in this unit, we are going to be looking at different types of angles and finding missing angles based on what we know about other angles. So, in the picture below, lines X and Y are parallel lines, like railroad tracks, they're never going to touch. And line T right here is called a transversal, or a line that intersects them. And so it tells you to use a protractor to measure each of the 8 angles that are formed. But I'm not going to have you do that right now. I'm just going to tell you that I'm going to give you some numbers. So I'm going to say that B is 30 degrees, and I'm just estimating. And D is 30 degrees, and A is 150, and C is 150. And then if you measured these down here, this would be 30. This would be 30. This one would be 150. And this one would be 150. So it asks you, what do you notice about the angle measures? So you should notice that there are only 2 different angle measures. So that's one thing. And if you're listening, you need to write that on here, that there are only 2 different angle measures. So whenever you have a figure like this one only has 30 and 150, you're only going to have 2 different angle measures. And then it asks you to list which angles have the same measure. So you can go ahead and do that. And this will be my way of checking to see if you're listening. Okay, and then the next one says, label the inside of the parallel lines as interior. So here's your parallel lines. And so these are the interior, because interior means inside. And then exterior, which means outside of the parallel lines. Okay, so there's different pairs of angles that are created when you have a transversal like this. And we're going to name them, and then they're going to help us find the different angle measurements. So vertical angles from last year. Those are pairs of opposite angles formed by intersecting lines. So you can write the word intersecting here, because if you're listening, it shouldn't matter how I write. Right, Telly? So examples up here would be A and C. Angle sign, A and C. Another one would be B and D. Okay, another set would be E and H. And G and F. I would go ahead and write all those down. And the relationship is that they are congruent. So I'm going to use that congruent symbol. And that means that they are the same. So therefore, if you're told that B is 30, then you know that D is 30. Okay, a straight angle is another one from last year. Those are angles that form a straight line and add up to 180 degrees. And they're also called supplementary, which should sound familiar from last year. 2 angles that add up to 180 degrees. So we can find some pairs up here, A and B, because those are on this straight line here. So A and B. We also have D and C. And again, I'm not going to write them all because it's hard to write with this pen. You have E and F and G and H. And then you can also look at it sideways, and you have G and E that form a straight line. And you have H and F and C and B and A and D. Those all form a straight line. And their relationship would be that they all equal 180 when they add 2 together, because they're supplementary.